Dạ, online cho nó xíu
Thank
thôi.
you. I'm Mick, I'm an addict.
Okay.
Thanks for asking me in, and it's good to see you, Dave, and good to see some people as well. And if you're new, welcome, or welcome back. If you're visiting, welcome. I'm visiting as well. So yeah, but I always feel welcome in a room of NA, you know, and all them things that were read out. It's like, you know, like the very things that I used on are the very things that I've got to sit with someone and say. Do you know what I mean? And that's daunting. That's really daunting, man. And in fact, you know, I didn't even really want to come to NA because to come here would have, you know, like would have made me look at what I had done, you know. And what I had done was, you know, I got clean in 1994 originally, December 19th, and you know, I won't bore you with it all, but I went to a treatment centre up north in Blackpool, and I got clean, man, and I'd been dying in the gutter, and all of a sudden I was alive, and we were going for walks on the sand dunes at Lytham St Anne's, and it was like the world had opened up. And I don't know if the amazingness of all of that carried me a long way, you know, because I did the 12 steps, and I did the step 5 with a stranger, which I was really glad about. They brought them in, you know, like victims. Come in and hear this man, you know, hear this man's worst stuff, but, you know. And so this poor fella had to listen to me, you know. And then I never saw him again. It was like, yeah, you know what I mean? And like, you know, since coming back to NA, I've you know, I've had 3 sponsors, but you know, the sponsor that I've got now, I sat and told him everything, knowing that I was going to see him again, you know, like, and you know, that's the scary bit. Like, this man knows everything about me, you know, and you know what, he loves me, you know, and he doesn't judge me, you know, and he backs me, you know, in most of what I do. Some of what I do is like, Mick, you've been acting out like this for a while now, I've got to say. But really, in general, and I can tell he don't really want to say that because he loves me and he backs me, but there's a point where he has to say, Mick, come on now, you know, stop doing this to yourself. It's usually around relationships for me. Stop doing this for yourself. You're better than that, you know. Anyway, we have as a result of working through the steps together, we have a great relationship, and when I first come in, I used to see men with these relationships with each other, love, you know, like people saying I love you and all that, and I'd think, how do they, you know, how comes they're so deep, so soon with it's like they grew up together, you know, it's like they really do love each other. And it was like, and I've learned since then that we build up relationships really quickly because we're in the same boat, you know, the ship of fellows, the fellowship, and you know, it's like we're all clinging on, and it's all like, what, you too? Yeah, I survived as well. Well, hold on to me then, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to fall off. There was a bit in here because step 5's linked to step 4, and I've just started step 4 as well. Again, I'm on my 3rd round, and step 4. This is from the Step Working Guide, and it's the introduction to step 4, because I finished step 3 and I was like, oh, that's good, isn't it? You know, I'm just going to like do nothing now for ages. Ain't I great? You know, knowing and with a bit of trepidation again about this. Do you know what I mean? Because like hearing other people on it as well, I'm thinking, cool, was it really that tough? You know what I mean? But this really, as I eventually picked the book up again, I read this bit, the introduction to step 4, and it says, Step 4 gives us the means to begin finding out who we are. The information we'll need to begin to like ourselves and get those other things we expect from the program: comfort, happiness and serenity. And at the end of the day, without using a drug, without picking, for me, when they were saying about being comfortable and all that, I was thinking, I don't have the vape or the cigarette or or a lot of stuff that I used to have, that I'd be able to go, oh, you know what, yeah, just something to do with. No, I'm and I was reading that thing up as we walked in about, there was something about what recovery gives you, and it's like being naked almost, and okay, basically being okay with ourselves and being who I am. Can I actually be Mick today? Can I be that person? And this is part of being that person, because obviously I didn't like being me a lot of my growing up, and that's why I used. I didn't like me. I had these things. I used to be obsessive and compulsive. I used to be a prisoner of numbers. I used to have, like, the number 4 was so big in my life, and it was like I'd have to touch things 4 times. If I was at football, someone's taking a free kick, I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and it'd be 4 sets of 4 as well, and then we might score the free kick or whatever. I thought, I'd avoid ladders, and I'd kick stones all the way to school, and if it went under the car, I'd have to get under the car and get the stone, because if I didn't kick it all the way to school, something was going to happen. So I was like that before I picked up. So when I picked up, which was the booze in my mum and dad's front room, which they didn't drink at all, innit? But when I found it and I felt that, I thought, this is it. This is the end, like the end of the numbers and the stuff. It's just made me feel calm, and that's what using gave me. I also used to throw all my money in the fruit machine when I was like, I'm a brickie, and when I was an apprentice, we used to be on 30 quid a week, and I'd get off the bus, and there was a kebab shop with a fruit machine, and I'd put it all in, all of it, pound after pound after pound, till all my wages that I'd got up my mum had got me up every day and kicked me out of the house, 2 buses to Watford from Wood Green. Like, that was a lot. That was long. It was too long to throw all your money away after, and yeah, I did it every week, and I found my mum and dad's savings as well, and I love my mum and dad, and I would never want to rob them. Yet when I found that wage packet in their wedding album, after I'd lost my 30 quid a week, I'd go and take 10, take 20, take another 10. I stole all their money, everything they had, and I was 16, and I put it all into that machine, and I couldn't stop, and when I talk about being in NA, and thank God that NA covers all addictions, because it's not just drugs. Like, there's something in me that ain't quite right. There was something in me when I came out of that kebab place that still, without a drug, wanted to kill myself for what I'd done. And it was nothing to do with drugs. It was all to do with addiction and not being able to stop, even if whatever it is. And it was that, that was one of the things. I sniffed glue, I fucking done lighter fuel and Tipex fenners and all of that. Yeah, so anyway, that was going into one a little bit, so that's what I did, because of the way that I think. So you want me to get clean, right, and be like that with nothing, and it's all going to come back again, and I've learned that this process is the process, like it said, of getting to know me and accepting that stuff. So what if I move around a lot? So what if I'm a bit ADHD or whatever? So what if I would rather sit upside down on the sofa and put my feet on the wall, unlike most people? I always did that, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm a bit nervous sometimes, and I'm shy and all that. So what? Can I just be that? Do you know what I mean? Without going, oh, I hate myself. I hate that I'm shy. I hate that I can't do this, and I hate that I can't do that. And this talking this over with someone else, my sponsor, who loves me and wants the best for me, leaves me in a place where maybe I am okay, maybe I'm all right, But to be all right, I have to keep doing this. I have to come here on a Sunday and miss that football match that's on. You know what I mean? That we all kind of would like to watch as well. But well, if you like football, I do. And come and try and tell someone else, yeah, it's okay, man. If you're like me, it's okay. We can do this, And it says there is an analogy, whatever that is, for this process that's particularly apt. We can think of ourselves as an onion. Each time we begin a fourth step, we're peeling away a layer of the onion and getting closer to the core. Each layer of the onion represents another layer of denial, the disease of addiction, our character defects, and the harm we've caused. The core represents the pure and healthy spirit that lies in the center of each one of us. It is our goal in recovery to have a spiritual awakening, and we get closer to that by beginning this process. Our spirits awaken a little more each time we go through it. And it goes on to say this is as step 4 and is as much about learning about our assets as our defects, so it's a beautiful process, and I believe it's a beautiful, regardless of the way people say, oh my God, I'm on step 4 and I've got the 5 coming up, I think it's a gentle, loving way of introducing ourselves to ourselves. That's what I think. Because all that's ever come out of it is love, So I've also learned during my time in and out of NA that if I'm left too long without this stuff, what happens is that counting up? Yeah, cool. 7.5, yeah, wicked. Yeah, I need to know these things. Numbers are going. 4, 4, 4. Anyway, I've learned that I need to keep doing this stuff, because when I was 14 years clean, I picked up from 1994, so it was 2008, and the picking up, I had a great life. NA had given me a beautiful life, but I'd done the steps and I thought I was done. I thought that was it, you qualified. And there weren't a lot of people around at the time where I was to tell me otherwise. We just did stuff together. We went conventions, we went abroad, and Europeans and this and that, and we went out together. But I never did any more work on the steps. I never revisit, I'm on my 3rd go around now, this time around. And I've realised that, as it said, we keep doing it and we keep learning a bit more about ourselves. I stopped learning about myself, but in the meantime, I got married. I had 2 beautiful children. I ran a bricklaying business that we built up from nothing, and we were very successful. And things were really good, But what wasn't really good was this. This was beginning to go further and further into the background. There was no sponsor, there was no sponsor. I'd sponsored people, some of them are still clean today, but I was not in touch with them. I actually thought I've done my bit, and I've actually, this is bad, I've outgrown NA, you know what I mean? I'm slightly better than them people that are hanging around on the Sunday missing the football. Right? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna watch the football whenever I want, and I'm also gonna stop praying. That's not for me, anymore. I'm gonna stop going to I used to go to the Buddhist temple once and do on a Saturday and do walking meditation and like read spiritual. I'm not going to do any of that, right? Because I've got money, right? So I don't need this stuff anymore. You lot are losers, you know. And that was what this is when they talk about stinking thinking. That's it. That's the stinking thinking. You're better than them. Like maybe this is a big one as well. Maybe. In 1994, when you was on your knees and you never ate anything and you was dying in your flat and you didn't, you know, you had nothing for anyone and no one, maybe it was just because of that relationship breakup. You're not an addict at all. Got you. Thank you. I'll wind it down. Maybe, and this is what crept in. You know, this is what crept in. You don't need the meetings anymore. You don't need the sponsor because you qualified. You passed. You're great. You're getting money now. See, look at your life. See how great it is. You take them on holidays. You know, you love each other. But as this slowly crept in, no wonder they call it a disease because it creeps in. You know, and yeah, it started by stopping coming here. It started by not praying, and then I began to just do less meetings and less meetings and less meetings. And what actually happened was I lost touch of who I was. In that getting money and getting things, I forgot who I actually am in here. All the stuff that had unravelled itself in that step 4 and 5 and the following steps working on defects had all got lost, and I just remember thinking at one point, if you took the job off me and the business and the family away from me, and I was a football coach as well, if you take all that away and, you know, training the kids on a Sunday, who are you? And I thought, I'm no one. I don't even know who I am, because over the years I'd lost myself because of not having this. You know, so that shows me that I need you, you know. So it was a hard way to learn to relapse after 14 years. And the worst thing was I went out with the self-righteousness of I'm going to break the mould. I'm going to be the addict that uses occasionally, and I'm going to use successfully, and it's going to be all right. I'm going to keep the family, the this, the that and the other. No NA, no meetings, no sponsor, no sponsoring. But I'm going to succeed, you know, because I'm right. You know, I'm going to do Mick Anonymous, you know, a new fellowship, you know, and I'm going to do it my way, you know, and it didn't go well, needless to say. And 9 years later, after I first picked up, I came back and I was beaten, fully beaten. I'd left that family. The drugs changed. I became a crystal meth addict, GHB, drug dealer. I had a Crown Court with loads of 28 charges with possession with intent to supply over me. I'd been in intensive care twice. I was dying again. And when I came back, I very luckily got to a treatment centre and was helped by people that I was originally clean with, and my ex-wife. And I met Dave as well, as they were sending us to treatment to the meeting, and yeah, man, I really remember that, and taking your number and like trying to get back, but I just weren't quite ready, you know, and the embarrassment of like relapsing again and getting kicked out of another recovery house. But Dave helped me to get into another recovery house, which I relapsed in as well. Sorry about that. But I'm here today, and I got back eventually, you know, and I'm over 7.5 years clean.
Well done.
And I've just done it by kind of doing the opposite to all that stuff I talked about, you know, and really getting into this program and taking it very, very seriously. I do a lot of Zoom meetings now. because I'm a driver. I'm not laying bricks anymore, but I'm driving. I can do meetings while I'm driving on the road every day. I get to a couple of meetings a day, and for me, that's more like it. Do you know what I mean? Instead of dismantling shit, I'm building stuff every day. I've got sponsees, and yeah, things are all right. Things are good, you know, and so you know, if you're new or even if you're not new, I think there's a message there, you know, about recovery that, you know, and it's great to see people that are not new that still come all the time. They know, you know, they know. I had to go out and learn it, you know. You can't do it like that, Mick, you know what I mean? But I think my time's come to an end. So thank you for inviting me again. It was a beautiful drive down here. I was absolutely buzzing, and so I'll leave it there, and please keep coming back, whatever.
Thank you, Mike. Cheers, mate.